The definition of a hero, and by extension the definition of a fan, have changed a lot in the past few years. The first used to be a symbol of true good, of safety, of truth and justice, an idol that someone could look up to. The later used to mean admiration, but most importantly it used to mean respect. This last notion was being bent for the past few years, but earlier this year it was totally lost. The responsible, you know them, you've seen them every day, they're your friends, family, and sometimes they're that person you see staring at you in the eyes in the mirror. When did that begin? There was a time when being a fan of pop culture was a shame, when you spent most of middle school hidden in the library when you were not locked up in your own locker. All that because you liked the last Star Wars or the new episode of Dragon Ball. Then one day came the internet, a true revolution, a place where you could exchange with people like you, where you had found a new family, where you could feel safe. Through the years, with this democratization, the term fanbase and fandom were thrown left and right to design people who were identifying as fans of a certain film, show, video games or other medium. Meanwhile, the overgrowing popularity of movie adaptation from books touching the fantasy universe, like Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings, plus the comic book adaptation like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or the X-Men and obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe, helped give the movement of geeks or fandom a meaning. It was a truly wonderful time when everyone was being accepted for what they were, for who they were. So, when did it go wrong? Before long, people realized how much power of speech a simple computer screen was granting them, how many people could hear their voices. Inevitably, debates started raging. Jar Jar Binks, a racist caricature, The Hobbit, just a cash grab on a universe that was extinguished a long time ago, Big Hero 6, a desperate attempt at proving that both superhero movie and animation are not a medium meant to entertain little kids, and so on. But earlier this month, we went too far. I mean the behavior of the Marvel fandom towards the trailer of Spider-Man No Way Home. You know it, the movement of fandom has become borderline toxic, full of people acting like jealous and possessive boyfriends towards their favorite medium, thinking they own a piece of work just because they enjoy it. What these people can't seem to understand is how much none of these products belong to them, and that reinforce the toxicity of the fandom. People who claim being fans of Star Wars while they harass a young actress, going as far as to send her death threats just because they didn't like a character that she has not even written herself. Those fans of Game of Thrones who love their favorite show so much that they are ready to start a petition to decanonize the last season and rewrite it scene by scene. That's when they're not plainly bullying Ed Sheeran enough for him to close his Twitter, all that for a cameo of 45 seconds. The same people that claim that James Bond can be interpreted by a black woman, ignoring the fact that it was never even happening and that they could have verified that had they taken 2 seconds to Google their information. Rick and Morty fans who are ready to start a scene at McDonald's just to get a promotional sauce that was available almost a quarter of a century ago just because it's been mentioned once in one episode. These people that claim to be the heroes of their fandom but actually just gives it a bad image. It's a fact, Spider-Man is probably the most recognizable Marvel character and in the top 3 greatest superhero of all time. Just look at the debate on which is the best Peter Parker. Some say it's Andrew Garfield, other Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire, but for certain people this debate is extended to other medium, Spider-Man PS4 to name only one. So when it was announced that Marvel considered to adapt the Spider-Verse comic to the big screen, chaos and mayhem starting popping. People were theorizing on the return of the two veteran Peter Parkers in the MCU, fan art and edits starting popping here and there, and then this happened.
Hello, Peter.
Dr. Octopus, perhaps the antagonist of the greatest live-action Spider-Man film, was revealed. The trailer was broken down frame by frame, some people even going as far as to find new meaning beneath a small reflection in a piece of metal for half a second. Then came the second trailer. Here, people were finding clues hidden in metal bars and theorizing that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield had been scratched up from the trailer. Were they right? Were they wrong? This is not the question. The question is, why does everyone act like this behavior is something good? The confirmation of a rumor regarding an awaited movie is not a good thing. Can you imagine 40 years ago if George Lucas had went on TV and spoiled that Darth Vader was indeed Luke Skywalker's father? The secret was well kept, even from actor Mark Hamill himself, and still today the famous "I am your father" is regarded not only as the defining quote from Star Wars, but also as a pillar of cinema. To this day, the scene keeps inspiring homage, fan art and parody, and Darth Vader is still regarded as one of pop culture's most iconic villain. Had the team behind Star Wars leaked the information or even revealed too many clues regarding the famous reveal, it would have fallen flat in a few weeks. So why is this practice of divulging information from your movie before people have a chance to see it encouraged nowadays? Simply because it slowly transforms in an addiction. The fan takes these confirmation as just selling arguments for the movie, while in reality you've been spoiled on something you could have waited 3 weeks to see in theaters. The studios knows the fan wants more, and they tend to give more and more and more, like a dealer feeding off junkies, using our interest to fuel the machine. But this isn't interest, this is obsession. The line between a passionate interest and toxic obsession is thin. Very thin. Here the problem comes from the fact that No Way Home has been so much teased and anticipated that the fanbase cannot wait a month to see it and are ready to take every single leak for cash. One day it is confirmed that the 3 Spider-Man will appear, the other day the leak is debunked. 12 hours later, a movie intern who worked on the set specifies that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are indeed in the movie. 3 days later, Andrew Garfield says he's tired about hearing about his part in Spider-Man No Way Home. The two fan clans are clashing in a bloody battle just to determine who is really right, at the point where it becomes toxic for the movie. At this level of hype, whatever the movie presents, there will be a great amount of people disappointed, and it's normal. You can't expect any product to live up to this level of hype, to this level of toxicity in an obsession for a simple film. And the people working on the movie, they are bound to the idea that they are gonna look like idiots because they didn't feel you're impossible to satisfy expectation for their product. At the point we're at, it comes from nothing more and nothing less than pure bullying. There was a time when being a fan of pop culture was a shame. When you spent most of middle school hidden in the library when you were not locked up in your locker. The people you saw as cool were despising you, treating you like you should be ashamed of your interests. Obviously, it was not true. No one should be ashamed of what they like in pop culture. But today we should be ashamed of what we have become. The fandoms have become what they hated the most. We have become bullies. The same people who made middle school and high school miserable for us. The same people who treated us like pure trash just because we love the last Harry Potter movie. We are those people now. In a world where famous director says that a movie can be considered as real cinema, while meanwhile a horde of fans are ready to condemn a movie just because they don't like the lead actor portraying Batman before doing a complete 180 and saying he's gonna be the best interpretation of The Dark Knight twice? The arguments have become too intense. The line between discussion and personal attack has been crossed a long time ago. Either the extreme fans are ready to attack whoever disagrees with them on site, or they spread the same information so much as other fans get saturated with info and quit the fandom for the sole reason that they had enough, that they can't take it anymore. We dare encourage these type of behaviors in the name of passion to uplift ourselves under the pretentious saying that our favorite film is perfect. I just don't get it. Are these leakers regarded as journalists propaging newsworthy information? And even then, if the information comes from a journalist, does that mean that it is okay to spoil a movie that an entire team spent 3 years to make? Are the people acting hostile towards people with different opinion great heroes? Is that how they see themselves? Is that what we're supposed to represent? A movement filled with hatred? Is that what's left of our passion, of our movement, of our identity? This behavior is killing the art of cinema, and by extension pop culture. We are not heroes, we are not saviors, we're just becoming Spider-Man's greatest nemesis.